Welcome to Beyond the Broadsheet, a podcast by the Lincoln County News. We are a community newspaper based in Mid-Coast, Maine, and we provide the most comprehensive, in-depth coverage available anywhere of the 18 towns and one plantation that make up Lincoln County. My name's Molly Rains, and I'm a reporter here at LCN. I cover Waldoboro, Jefferson, Somerville, and Monhegan.
And my name is Christina Wallace. I'm also a reporter here at Lincoln County News, covering the towns of Noblesboro, Bremen, Bristol, and South Bristol.
And my name is Allie. I'm a reporter covering Newcastle, Damascotta, Edgecombe, and Whitefield.
Yay. And we're still looking for a fourth person to cover those other towns if you're counting, but we do our best in the in-between. Today, I am going to be joined by Sarah Masters, who's our Arts and Eats reporter, to talk about our trip to Monhegan, which we did together this week to see the very cool exhibition Art, Ecology, and the Resilience of a Maine Island. But first, let's hear a little bit of the top stories from our Thursday, July 24th edition. Starting with Somerville, as usual. In Somerville, the tax collector, John Emerald, initiated a lawsuit against the current chair of the Somerville Municipal Broadband Board, Doug Schartzer, and former chair, Sharon Reisches, alleging that they didn't fully comply with a Freedom of Access Act request he made in May. He said he wasn't satisfied with the documents they sent him, which in court documents you can see they sent him a zip file with what they said was everything the Broadband Board has created, but he had requested some long-term planning documents regarding Somerville's town-owned internet network that he said he believes exist and weren't in that file. Reisches and Schartzer have said they complied fully and gave him every document he requested. They said some of what he asked for simply didn't exist yet because, according to them, the project is not yet in the phase of developing some of those documents. And they also disagree, according to court filings, about who is the true custodian of those records, which is important because that would mean the custodian is the person responsible for fulfilling the FOA request. So in this case, Emerald's representing himself, and he identifies himself as the town tax collector. Schartzer and Reisches, who are named in the suit in their official capacity as town officials, are being represented by Somerville's town lawyer, Trevor Bryce. So there was a hearing, an update hearing on that, and we will have continuing coverage of that in the paper. In Damascotta, also in Justice, what's going on there, Allie?
So the town named a new interim police chief. It's Phil Tessier, a 5-year member of the Damascotta Police Department, and he'll step into the role starting Friday, August 1st, which is the same day that Chief Jason Warlick is departing the department to become Chief Deputy of the Saginaw County Sheriff's Office. So a little more on Tessier. He has worked with the police department since 2020, and before that he served in the Air Force for 20 years and was in a South Carolina Sheriff's Department for 22 years. Damascotta town manager Andy Dorr said he hopes to find a full permanent replacement for the chiefship by the end of the year. So, yeah, they're just kicking off their search. There's a lot of logistics to figure out. There's not many, mandated procedures to finding a police chief, so they're trying to figure out what's best for the town.
Yeah, that creates an interesting opportunity to think about how do you even involve the select board and the community in finding out what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
An open door.
In more justice news, the town also brought on a new patrol officer. His name is Connor Magnoli, and he was sworn in on Wednesday, July 16th. Magnoli is a 14-year Navy veteran who grew up in a small town in Connecticut. And he said he was drawn to Damascotta because of Warlick's vision for the department, and told me that he is really reading up right now on the town, getting caught up on all the speed limits. He's doing his due diligence.
Oh, nice. Wow.
News out of Bremen. they are going to join the Community Resilience Partnership Program. So the Select Board initiated the process of joining a statewide Community Resilience Partnership on Thursday, July 17th during their Select Board meeting. The partnership works with communities across the state to evaluate their energy usage and climate resilience, and then they help them access grant funding to improve both of those. This can mean upgrades to municipal buildings to make them more energy efficient, so things like LED lighting, heat pumps, etc. And they were encouraged to join by Lincoln County Community Resilience Planner Laura Graziano.
Yes, who's with the Lincoln County Regional what is it? Regional Planning Commission?
Yeah, the Regional Planning Commission.
I know their acronym, but I always get it confused.
Yeah. She was there to speak at the meeting and provide more information on it.
Yeah, they're a great team, and they're a small team, I think maybe 2 or 3 people, and they're really mobilized, and I see them all over the county talking to people about stuff like this. So I'm glad they got Bremen enrolled.
Yeah, they're still working on a couple other towns too. So.
In Somerville and Jefferson, by the estimation of those 2 towns' fire chiefs, there are currently more than 60 homes in both towns that aren't reachable by some heavy fire equipment vehicles because of problems with 2 bridges. And the situation in Somerville for maybe since last winter has been that a bridge on the end of Somerville Road has been posted with a 20-ton limit by the DOT. Now, about a month ago, the DOT posted a bridge at the other end of the road on the Jefferson end with the same limit. And the problem there is that some fire vehicles, especially tankers when they're fully loaded with water, exceed that limit, so they couldn't legally go over either bridge. And there are about 60 homes in between. So the fire chiefs of those towns are concerned, obviously, about what they do in the case of a fire and what would happen if they had to make a call about whether to cross a bridge and one got damaged. Like, where would liability fall? So they reached out to the DOT, and although I reached out to the DOT and they said they were gathering more information before they wanted to speak to the press, according to Jefferson Fire Chief Darren Walker, they did tell him they're going to send a person out to take a look at the bridge on the Jefferson side and help him make a plan for fixing it. So hopefully that will be remedied soon. But I know that Chief Dosty of the Somerville Fire Department is saying he just wishes he could see that bridge on the Somerville end moved up the priorities list, even though he knows, as we all do, that a lot of bridges across Maine are in poor shape. Obviously, this situation is one that you really want to avoid and have last for as little time as possible.
That kind of sounds like a home insurance nightmare.
Yeah. It really does. And I'm really curious about the implications for people on that road as insurance companies get wise to the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so
truly.
We'll follow that too.
More news from Damascotta. The select board greenlit a $1.7 million fire truck purchase. So the board approved a new ladder truck for the Damascotta Fire Department, which totaled up to $1,732,830, which is considerably less than the $1.9 million that voters approved for the purchase at their annual town meeting earlier this summer.
It's funny that that's less, It's just amazing how much fire trucks cost.
It is. It's kind of stunning, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like now I look at them on the road and I'm like, you're more than most houses.
Yeah. You're riding in style.
So to pick out the truck, the fire department evaluated multiple bids, and the process of evaluation took them over 200 hours. So select board chair Daryl Frazier praised the board for the committee for their consideration into the options. They ultimately went with Pierce Manufacturing, submitted by dealer Allegiance Fire and Rescue. And along with approving the bid, the select board approved a $25,000 contingency for any possible changes and approved the use of $500,000 from the fire truck reserve fund as a down payment. And it's possible that the town will end up taking out a bond to cover the remaining balance. But it's not an issue for a minute because the truck shouldn't be completed for 40 to 43 months.
Wow. Yeah, that tracks. From what I've heard in other towns, that's a timeline that they're working with.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because just in the 2 years I've worked here, the price of fire trucks has risen. I won't give a figure, but a really considerable amount. So when you think about signing on to a contract and then waiting 2 to 3 to 4 years to have it realized, what's that like? I guess you're locked in.
Yeah,
but I
can't change your mind.
Yeah, I mean, the price won't go up, but I just don't really understand how that works.
It was crazy. They were even saying like, we need to lock this in. I can't remember the time frame, but it was like around a month or so, or they're like, the price is going to go up again.
Yes.
So it's insane.
That is how it goes, and it's like that's the argument for getting into one of these contracts, and for like, you know, moving quickly to get taxpayers to approve even this sum, which is obviously a shock to some people, because the argument is it's just going to keep getting higher. So even if we don't need to replace the truck immediately, which I won't speak for Damerscott, you know their situation much better than I do, but they'd want to get on that list now.
Yeah.
It's happening in a couple of my towns too. I went to a baby reunion this week, and it was so much fun. And I saw one of our coworkers there, Mike Lee, who works for the coffee shop, which is part of our company, was there with his wife, Dr. Kath Mitchell, and their 9-month-old Allison, and she was enjoying ice cream.
That's so sweet.
It was awesome. The event was a family reunion for the people born at Maine Health Lincoln Hospital, which used to be Miles Memorial in Damerscott. And it brought together kids of all ages, their families, and then the staff of the birthing department there, who in many cases know these kids. And it was so lovely to see them coming together again outside the hospital. And the staff were like, "Oh, I remember you." It was very adorable. And then it started raining, so we had about an hour, but it was awesome. And they said that though this is the first time they've done it, the goal was to show how unique it is to be in healthcare in a really close-knit community where you can have an event like this and have it be so successful. And they really hope to keep doing it. So next year, if you were born at Lincoln Hospital or Miles Memorial, you should consider going to get a free ice cream cone. I'm sure they'll do it again.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
A Bristol author shares his love of forgotten history with his new book. I got to sit down with author Don Leprino, who was a contributing columnist for the Lincoln County News and has compiled many of his columns into a book, which he's entitled Past and Present, Retracing Paths Now Mostly Hidden. And all of these articles are about, or all of these columns are about stories that he thinks are lesser known, featuring historical figures and just a lot of cool events that not many people talk about. And he's been writing this column for about 20 years now. And yeah, he decided to put it all together in a book, and it is being sold at Sherman's Maine Coast Bookshop.
So exciting. Yeah. And really cool that you got to meet him because, you know, I mean, he's a known name in this company.
Yeah. So it was really cool. He's such a cool guy. He knows a lot about history, and so it was really fun to sit down with him and talk about his book. So
yeah, lovely. Are you a history person?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I love music history.
I get that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. In big breaking earth-shattering news, Edgecombe Planning Board approved a plan for a new convenience store.
Ooh, let's go.
Yes, and it's going to be at 21 Route 1, which, according to Molly's super investigative journalism skills, is on Davis Island.
I just have to double check, you know.
No, it's I didn't even know that. So
no, I think it is, because at first I got excited that it was that building that's being renovated right when you come out of Wiscasset into Edgecombe. But it's not. Don't get any ideas. It's on Davis Island, and it's a different building.
Gotcha. Het Patel, the owner, plans to convert the existing property into a convenience store and deli, but there won't be an associated gas station.
Which I respect. It's very pure. It's like, this is a...
To be honest, he wanted the gas station, but he said there wasn't enough room. But you know, it is cool. I personally like being able to go to a convenience store, and I don't know. I feel weird going to a convenience store and not getting gas. 'Cause it makes me feel like I'm weird.
Like you're letting them down.
Yeah, they're like, what are you doing here if not getting gas?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I was reflecting on the experience of going to the gas station recently because I had this thought that it's the place where, like, out of all the business genres around here, I feel like it's the place where people always hold the door for other people. You know?
Yeah,
Do you
I
agree?
can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like someone always holds the door for me at the convenience store / gas station. And my theory is that it's the place where everybody goes. Like who doesn't go to the gas station?
That's true. Yeah.
It's a very communal place.
It is. So for that reason, you're like expecting to see anybody, and then you're already ready to be nice to them. I don't know. That's my theory.
I like that theory.
Thank you.
I think that fits a lot.
So we get to have that experience in Edgecombe at another location.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Big news.
Awesome. Down the road in Wiscasset, I got to go into a store that I've been eyeing for years and never remembered in time to pull over. But I finally went into the Rock Shop, which is across the street from Norm's Used Cars on Route 1. And I met David Hasselfuss, who is the proprietor of the store and has been obsessed with rocks and minerals since he was 7 years old, which is very notable because he's now 87. And he was saying, if you've been doing something for 80 years and you can't quit it, it's a disease. So he's got the rock disease.
I feel like there's worse diseases to have.
Totally. Yeah. No, I found it really inspiring to meet with him because he was talking about rocks and minerals, which until his retirement were not his job. It was just a hobby for his whole life. And he was talking about how important it is in his mind to have a hobby that you can do apart from your job and build a community with and meet people. And then also for him, in his retirement, this hobby has become not only a job, but something to do and keep him busy and passionate and involved in what he cares about. So you can go into the rock shop and you can see thousands of specimens from all around the world that he has either, in some cases, dug himself because he used to be big into looking around and paleontology and mining, or he's worked with really interesting network of people to procure or purchased from private collections and then done the really difficult work of carrying boxes of rocks to his store and sorting through them to find the good stuff. And he has all kinds of stuff and he can tell you all about it. So I really recommend stopping in.
And I would just like it to be known that Molly did not buy me a rock.
When she went
to the rock store.
I've been 2 times, and both times I was like, Christina, I'll get you a rock.
I just need this to be public knowledge.
Yeah, but I'll remedy it.
You know, me 2 rocks.
I think I can manage out of the thousands. The rock shop is open from 9 to 5, Tuesday to Saturday, and 11 to 5 on Sundays. And it's a seasonal business. He does close down between about the end of October and March. And then it's also important to know that he's a huge BC football fan, Boston College, because he's a proud alum. Oh, so nice. If they have a home game, the store is closed.
I love that. Mm-hmm. In Bristol, I got to write my first character of the county piece for Lincoln County News. Yay. And I sat down with Mark Phillips, who is living the life he planned. Mm-hmm. He is Bristol's new music teacher, and he also works on ships. So he was telling me how he doesn't think that anyone should have to settle for just doing one thing for the rest of their lives. He thinks that people should follow whatever passion that they have and see where it takes them. And that's exactly what he did. He combined both of his passions, music and the marina, to do what he wants in life. And it was really fun to talk to him. He also does a lot of local gigs too. So you can find him on Facebook, where he's going to be playing next. And yeah, he was a really fun guy to sit down with. I definitely learned a lot. And as someone who's also really into music, it was cool to be able to talk about that. Yeah. And his plans for being Bristol's new music teacher and the program that he wants to set up for kids. He really wants to create a love of music in kids that is going to continue well past when he leaves the school. So,
which is such a lasting gift. Like when I think about something that you can that you can give kids the building blocks to continue doing and learn throughout the rest of their life.
Yeah.
It's like education at its best.
Yeah.
Did it resonate for you as a musician who is also doing reporting, very much not music?
Yeah, it did. I have a big respect for music educators because it's a really tough job, especially with like arts funding getting cut and things like that. And just to hear the passion that he has for music and specifically teaching music to other people was really nice to hear. And just his plans to build a music program from the ground up and really instill a lot of confidence in his students to make them feel like they're actually capable of doing things, because music can be very, very challenging, and just create a love that's going to keep going. One of the things he said was, with sports, your joints are going to eventually give out and you're not going to be able to do it for the rest of your life. But music is very unique in the fact that you can do it for the rest of your life in some capacity. So, yeah.
You were the perfect person to interview him, so I'm so glad that was your first character.
Yeah, it was really nice because we were out on Round Pond too, and I got to see like where he works on boats and all of that, and he also ties the two together. He says he loves sea music, unsurprisingly. Oh, yeah. So it was really cool to talk about that as well. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We have Sarah Masters, our Arts and Eats reporter, has stepped in to join us. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Molly.
How are you today?
So far, so good.
Yeah, better than we were at the end of the day yesterday.
Yes, going to Monhegan is a long day.
Yes, it was a long day. Obviously, it was so much fun. The two of us went to Monhegan yesterday to do some reporting and to see the Monhegan Art Wildlands exhibit. But we had a very windy day. We bought our tickets well ahead of time, and we were locked into some very choppy waters. So,
yes, it was not smooth sailing.
not quite, but it was fun. It was an adventure. So we're both still a little bit out of it from the crossing, but we're going to do our best to talk about our day yesterday. And you went out there for a very specific Arts and Eats focused reason. Can you talk a little bit about what made you want to go to Monhegan this time of year?
It's Monhegan. It's really beautiful and peaceful. And it's a home to artists for a couple of hundred years. Artists have been retreating to Monhegan. And it's also a place that scientists go and study because there is some ancient forest. And there are newer forests that they call secondary forest, and then completely cleared land. So it's a really neat space for biologists. And one biologist in particular, Dr. Barry Logan from Bowdoin University, has been studying what's known as dwarf mistletoe parasitic infection that affects the white spruce trees. And he's been going out to Monhegan for more than a dozen years studying them. And when you go to Monhegan, you will immediately see that it is an artist's place.
Immediately. There were people like on every corner painting yesterday. And at first I was wondering if something was going on, but that's just how it is.
That's just how it is. People painting in plein air. There are artist studios. So when you get off the boat, there's a map of 16 different artists' studios on an island that only has 60 people who are full-time residents.
Wow.
And so Dr. Logan, as he became aware of this and saw some of the art, he saw some art that had the dwarf mistletoe in it. And that fascinated him because he had not thought of art as a data set.
Yeah.
And so he went to the curator of the Monhegan Museum, Jennifer Pye, and started to talk to her about the art and about what she saw in it. And for her part, she said, when I talked to her yesterday, that the biologists generally keep to themselves.
On Monhegan?
On Monhegan.
Oh, that's funny.
So she was aware that they're there, but it wasn't part of something that she really had awareness of, and especially not what they were doing, and that the art in the museum was documenting 200 years of this infection that he was studying.
Unwittingly. in some cases, right? Or
Exactly.
most? Yeah.
In most cases, we can imagine that artists are just capturing what they see. A lot of them are knowledgeable and are doing it with a scientific bent. And, they do know from studying these things what they should look like and when something looks wrong. But their goal, a lot of the artists, is to capture something accurately
Yes.
and communicate what they're seeing. And so that does become data.
Which is so cool because in pure scientific research, that's the goal too, is to, capture the world as it is and not how we think it should be or think it might be or have any ideas about how it is supposed to be, but what you're actually seeing. And to get that down without letting it be warped by your ideas is really hard in art and science, I think. So when people are painting, maybe in like the early 1900s and recording images of something and a scientist is later like, wow, wait a minute. That's exactly my whole thing. That's what I study. And this is evidence for me. It's so cool.
It is very cool. And that documentation isn't just of the dwarf mistletoe, it's of all of the years of everything that's going on Monhegan. And so there's a history of an introduction of sheep to graze the land, and that had a strong impact. And once the sheep were removed, deer were added, which created their own problems and issues. And now the deer have been removed for about 25 years. And so what they're seeing is a rewilding.
Yeah.
And what can happen when there are no large predators or browsers in a place to eat. The broadleaf trees in particular are coming back versus the white spruce, the needles.
So Dr. Logan noticed that the art on Monhegan was representing something he was interested in scientifically and broader ecological realities, and that gave rise to a show that's currently on view at the Monhegan Museum. What's the official name of the show? It has a long name. I can't remember.
Art, Ecology, and Resilience, the story of a Maine Island.
Thank you.
And so the resilience part is also very important because it, as Dr. Frank Goodyear said, he's the curator at the Bowden Museum where this exhibition started, that the resilience part is very important because it's showing us, even just in 25 years, what can come back and how things can change, and that just the way something is right now doesn't mean that it has to be that way forever.
Yeah.
And he said that it's a hopeful message.
I definitely got that. I was honestly like, I don't know if it was because of the trying emotional journey on the boat, but when I got to the museum and started looking at the show, I was almost near tears because I was so like bowled over by the paintings that are in there and the photographs and how well put together the progression of the phases is. You can really kind of go on that journey. And it was so cool and so exciting.
It is. And did they have the soundscape playing?
What? Tell me about
So this
that.
exhibit started in December, and it was at Bowden Museum on the college campus for a few months before going to Monhegan. And as part of that, some of the Bowden interns who work with Dr. Logan and our biology students had created a soundscape that's about 20 minutes that recorded the sounds of the ferry and just sounds of the island.
Oh, cool.
That like played and was the audio for the exhibit, just sort of island sounds.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I was getting island sounds through the windows. So
That's it exactly. And that, to pivot, is one of the reasons why I wanted to go out there, was because I did see it at Bowden, and it is a beautiful exhibit, and their museum is really lovely. And there's something a little bit sterile or even academic about it when it's at the university. And when you go out to the museum, it feels so much more immediate and real and relatable because you can look right out the window at the things.
Yeah.
And the Monhegan Museum has a bunch of programs to try to make these connections for people and to bring it alive. And every day they have wildland walks led by one of the Bowden interns that's out there for the summer.
Oh, nice.
And they gave us a little packet of flip cards of pieces of artworks that as we walked through the woods, they pointed out the art. And
Cool. Wow. That's amazing. And with it being so small, that was what struck me too, is like you're seeing these tableaus and you can be like, oh, that's right over there. And I can compare it immediately. So they gave you that so you could hold it up and see the same view.
Yep,
Cool.
exactly.
Oh,
It is really cool, and it feels so much more real when you're out there and you're actually seeing the things that are depicted in the pictures and the paintings.
Yeah, that's interesting because it also expands the bounds of the exhibition to the whole island when they're inviting people to go on walks like that.
Yes, it is. And it has involved the whole island. They commissioned a photographer across Shep to photograph the island and take these big panoramic photos that were hopefully
Yes,
in what
they
you
were
saw.
in the museum, yeah.
And so I was told that Shep was there all year round, wandering around, and that he's a larger gentleman and that he was carrying a lot of Camera equipment.
Yeah, I heard about this too.
So they said that most people like eventually interacted with the 60-year round residents. They were like, "What's up?"
Yeah, I heard of people were talking about him in the museum because they were like, he had this huge contraption and he would put a blanket over his head. And I was like, he has a large format camera.
That's so cool.
And the resulting images are so cool. Large format film is so detailed and crisp, and it's like they're huge, and these panoramic images are placed on the wall above the paintings that make up the rest of the exhibition, so you can compare in the same way that you're talking about. And it's very immersive.
It is, and I'm not sure how to put it. It has a lot of tendrils because they are working with the association.
Monhegan Associates?
Monhegan Associates, yes, to, really emphasize a lot of the wildlands and resilience and, what can be done.
Yes. Yeah. Before we came up here, you asked if I knew the history of the wildlands, and I don't. So could you illuminate me? Because I am super intrigued.
They gave us a little bit of the background. They said that on Monhegan, there are some ancient forests that have never been touched, which is really uncommon in New England. And then it's mostly secondary forest that had been browsed and had been removed by sheep and logging and the various things that were going on. And once it was a pretty barren rock, developers came in with their ideas for what were going to be there. And
I saw that in the museum, like blueprints, because they had grazed so hard that it kind of cleared the way. And people were like, it's time to build, 50 cottages. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. 50 cottages on the cliff.
And people said, yeah.
So Ted Edison, who is Thomas's nephew.
Thomas Edison?
Yes.
Didn't know he would come into this. Okay.
He was a big fan of Monhegan Island, and he started buying up plots. And so he bought up some of those plots individually and some in bulk, and just started buying up the island until most of it was privately owned in this, and then gave it over, or it became the Monhegan Associates eventually, so that most of the island is protected.
Wow. Yeah, and it is so much. I think I spoke yesterday with a couple of representatives of Monhegan Associates. They put the ballpark at 70% of the land on Monhegan is protected in a land trust. And Monhegan Associates is kind of an unconventional land trust, I think, in that they're kind of maintaining that level, They're trying to keep that pretty static. They said there was like a couple tiny pockets that they wouldn't mind adding because, of course, I think like little spots throughout the area that are otherwise surrounded by protected land. But other than that, they've been kind of maintaining the wildlands as they are without much change, and as rustic, I guess you could say, a style of management as possible. Like they're not interested in having really easy to walk on gravel trails or anything. They're interested in keeping it very wild.
Having experienced the trails, I say that tracks.
Yeah.
They are narrow and rocky, and even the easy ones were harder for some people who aren't great with balance.
Yes. Yeah. Which is, a conversation, I think, when you're creating a wild space to invite visitors to, and there may be thousands of visitors in a day on Monhegan, and a lot of them come for the natural beauty. The balance of maintaining that wildness and improving access is a difficult one. So I think it's something that's on their mind, but they said they are really interested in maintaining the character of the wildlands and keeping them as untouched as possible, which also means minimal signage, which was a funny story. I spoke to Rebecca Fitzpatrick, the Wildlands coordinator, and Kristen Lindquist, the incoming vice president of Monhegan Associates, and they were telling me a story about how they recently put a sign on a tree on a trail in the Wildlands that says "town" with an arrow, and it was a big deal. And it took multiple conversations and iterations before they were able to do that, which, I mean, totally tracks, because when you're on an island with such a strong tradition that people know inside and out, any little change is going to be emotional for some people.
That's true. There are about 60 year-round residents, and they are very protective of the island. Understandably, it's their home.
Absolutely. And I think the integration of Monhegan Associates as the land trust that protects so much of the island with the community speaks to the really mutually supportive relationship of like the town community and the wild community, wild land people. And they are doing some, speaking of activities that are part of this show, Monhegan Associates is running some talks throughout the season of scientific professionals and people who can give more ecological background about what's happening there. One of them was last night, but we had to go.
That's it. We got to go back.
Yep, got to go back on the Hardy boat. Was there anything about experiencing the show on Monhegan that was different from how it was at Bowdoin that surprised you or that you didn't expect?
I had not been to Monhegan before. And so seeing it in the museum, I didn't feel a personal connection to it, even though it is beautiful and it's a story that's important to tell, especially how humans are impacting what we do around us with the introduction of sheep and then the introduction of deer. And then that introduced Lyme disease.
Which is such a crazy story. Can we have a tangent?
Yes.
The Monhegan Lyme disease story was so interesting because Lyme disease became super common on Monhegan, right? And this was when there were deer there, and there were also rats there because Lyme disease has 3 animal hosts: ticks, smaller mammals, and bigger mammals like us. And to get rid of the Lyme disease, they ended up targeting all of the deer and getting rid of them, and it worked, to my knowledge.
That's my understanding, is that there are no ticks on Monhegan.
Yeah, not anymore. But for a while, they were rampant, which is really interesting. And it's all of Maine's islands are different with regards to ticks and Lyme disease. So, but the Monhegan case study is just an interesting one. Sorry to derail it.
It is. It's not a derail because that is part of the exhibit. The exhibit is a wraparound. That's what I was getting to with the soundscape, is that it's not just paintings and photographs. There are maps, there are blueprints, there are 3D printed seeds.
Yes. Yeah. Love those.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
There are ancient artifacts, arrowheads, and things of that nature. And things that are on loan from very prestigious organizations from all over, like just in Portland, the Osher Map Library, but also the Library of Congress and other like big names have loaned pieces for the show.
It's so broad reaching, but I really enjoyed the context that they provided. I thought it really told a really good cohesive story, and the way it was laid out in the museum was really approachable. So you could kind of go and just go to the museum, or you could go and really immerse yourself in this exhibition and do the walks and go to the talks and really learn. Cool. I hope that people go.
Me too. I heard that people are going. People who saw it at Bowdoin are making the trip to go out there to see it on the island because it is so much more immersive and immediate and even transformative.
Yeah.
To see the art where it was created and be like, oh, so that's Whitehead.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And to see people continuing the tradition in the field right outside.
Exactly.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
And there are more paintings on display on Monhegan than there were at Bowdoin, I heard from a museum person. So very cool.
And it is the only art museum in the county.
Yes.
So that's plenty of reason to go.
Plenty of reason. Yeah, the Monhegan, this particular exhibition is in their annual exhibition building. And then the Monhegan Art and History Museum has a whole separate, more permanent exhibition in another building that you can also go see. And I had a blast doing that. They have like, I mean, just because it's such a small community, it makes the history feel so immediate. Like the snapshots that are on display seem like people you might run into.
Yeah, and the lobster buoy display.
Yeah, it's just so lovely and so much fun. I'm so glad that we both got to go out there for the first time this summer.
Me too. I had a great time, and I definitely can't wait to go again on a smoother day.
Yes. So admission to the Monhegan Museum of Art and History is $10 for adults and $20 for a family. And this exhibition, you said, is on until the fall?
Until September 30.
Perfect. So,
but there is also a book.
Yes, there is.
So you can get the book, Art, Ecology, and Resilience, the story of a Maine island.
Yes. Cool. And it's just such a cool testament to how important it is to look around and record things, which is obviously what we're obsessed with doing as newspaper people. But I think my favorite part and the biggest takeaway for me was realizing how trying to record the world and hold on to that recording can have benefits you could never have imagined in the future. It can help people understand the whole ecology of a really special place. And who knows what else those paintings will tell us when we have more insight in the future, you know?
Yes, that's something I love telling the current contemporary artists that I interview now. Like, so in 200 years, if a biologist looks at your painting,
what will they see?
What will they see?
Something we could never imagine. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sarah. I had so much fun going to Monhegan with you.
Next time we'll bring Hedgehog.
Yes, next time. And next time we'll choose a calmer day. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Beyond the Broadsheet, a podcast by the Lincoln County News. This podcast is produced by Lucas McNelly and Maya Zewert. Tyler Davis of Tyality Productions provides production support. Our theme music is by Stu Mahan and LCN Associate Editor and bassist Sherwood Olin. The Lincoln County News hits newsstands across the county every Wednesday afternoon, and you can also access our work online at lcnme.com. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion, please email us at info@lcnme.com. As always, we're grateful for the support of our readers and listeners in Lincoln County and beyond. It's been great catching up today, and we'll talk with you again soon.